Hello and welcome. This is Theo once again, and you're joining me in the IO experience. I'm going to be doing my first read and riff today. I've just channeled this super powerful article, which literally just flowed through me. And even though I have a stack of 15 other articles that are waiting to be published, read out, and just go out in the world, I am so deep in the energy of this, and I'm so in love with this piece that has come through now. I've not even spent any time editing it or refining it. It's just come out so perfectly that I'm feeling the energy of it very deeply, and I just want to want to share what's come through from the energy that it's come through also. So here we go. First article is called Trust and Adrenaline, Living on the Edge. A lot of people associate adrenaline with the feeling of being alive. I was an adrenaline junkie for a large part of my life. Being on the other side, I can say that adrenaline has nothing to do with feeling alive. It's just a contrast to the absolute dullness of monotony. And any experience through contrast is only a substitute for the real thing. Happiness is the same. You may be happier in contrast to your past or to other people, but are you actually happy as an absolute, unconditional state of being, without needing some external stimulus or reason to be happy? Do you feel alive as an absolute state of being without the need for adrenaline? This is such a fundamental shift that I've had in my life, and I'm going to be going deeper into it. But just understanding the idea that living on the edge can mean something completely different. This is what I'm about to explore in this article. We associate living on the edge only with being, in this adrenaline junkie mode, or the opposite of it. We usually only have these two options. We have living on the edge in adrenaline mode or living in absolute monotony. And when we are living in monotony, then we want to escape. Even the most normal people escape in ways like cheating on their partners, going and doing something rash or ridiculous. It's not just men or women who are living these high adrenaline lives. Sometimes even the most basic thing, or like even the most normal people end up doing things just because they're frustrated with monotony. And there is just this deep need to escape from monotony. And when we don't honor that by listening to our soul's guidance, we end up doing things out of compulsion. So I'll just continue reading here. Now, just because you feel alive, not through adrenaline, but just the feeling of being alive. So you're not in monotony, you're not in adrenaline, you're just feeling alive. It doesn't mean that you can't still live on the edge. What changes is your baseline. Instead of adrenaline, it becomes trust. You are on the edge of life. You are in the unknown, but you're not in a rush. You don't always crave more. It is a state of being, and you have plenty, always. You have so much creativity, you have so much flow, you have so much aliveness that's coming from your soul. It's not coming because of something that's happening on the outside, but it's just this deep inspiration to live, to create, to experience life in the most basic things, in the most mundane things, in just sitting and being. Also there is an aliveness in cooking something delicious. There's an aliveness in going out. There's an aliveness. You don't need to do crazy things. You don't need to do crazier and crazier things all the time. You can be doing even the same things, but there is an aliveness that comes from within you that animates and makes the experience new, that makes the experience fresh, that makes the experience alive. So you are not in a rush. You don't always crave more. It becomes a state of being, and you have plenty, always. You don't feel alive because of the danger or possibility of death. You feel alive because you are living a full life, being fully you, and you have complete trust in yourself and in life. You are in alignment, and life presents you with challenges that stretch you just enough. And you have complete trust in your capabilities and your capacity to always be able to deal with whatever life presents to you. So here you are not looking for challenges that push you over the edge, that are dangerous, that are overwhelming. It's you're not doing what you do usually. It's not adrenaline based. You're living on the edge of life because that is also being alive. You're in adventure mode, you're in curiosity mode, you're in creative mode. You're living in the unknown. But this unknown is not the same as the unknown of, oh, will I die or not? There is deep trust. You're living. There is no you're not in the unknown of danger. You're in the unknown of adventure and creativity. You're not living in the unknown because you need to feel alive through the contrast of, oh, you may die, you may not be able to do what is coming. You may not it's not a it's not a jungle adventure where a tiger may suddenly appear and eat you. It's not that kind of living on the edge. You're living on the edge in the sense of you are exploring life. You are feeling alive because you're in the present moment. The present moment is literally the edge of life, right? Like you are not in the future, so you're not rushing ahead. You're not in the past. You're actually on the edge of life, which is the present moment. And in that, you can be completely calm. You can be completely centered. You're not in this anxiety. You're just, okay, this is life. Life is happening right now. But because you are in total alignment with yourself, what life is bringing to you is in alignment with yourself. So here I continue. There is no danger of being not good enough, of failing, of falling behind, of being overwhelmed. You know everything coming your way is in perfect alignment with your soul's desires, your mission, your purpose, your intentions to grow and live more fully each day. This is what makes you feel alive, as an absolute state of being. You realize that adrenaline is only feeding the desperation to break out of monotony, to remind yourself you are alive because you live most of your life like a zombie. You're living most of your life in death. This is also often coupled with a need to prove yourself, to compensate for your insecurities. When all of that disappears, you realize that even living on adrenaline becomes quite monotonous. That's why you always need more and you always need something different. You're always craving for higher experience because when you just keep doing the same thing for adrenaline, it stops feeling like adrenaline because now you know that it's not dangerous, you can do it, and it stops making you feel alive. But see that you constantly need something to make you feel alive instead of you purely feeling alive from within you. So I'll just repeat this. When all of that disappears, you realize that even living on adrenaline becomes quite monotonous. That's why you always need more and different, because you're always escaping the feeling of death catching up with you, the death of boredom and monotony. Your soul, on the other hand, is deeply content and always on the edge of creation. There is so much creativity overflowing that there's never a dull moment. You're not escaping death. You are living life in the truest sense. This was one of the most mind-blowing questions that had come up in a spontaneous moment when I was coaching one of my clients. She had cancer at the time, and she had cancer for over 15 years. So she had recovered from it, I think relapsed. She had several treatments. She tried all the possible treatments because she did not want to do uh, the chemo treatment. So she was trying all kinds of alternative therapies, and all of that did manage to extend her life for 15 years and even more. She's still going. But when I was on this call with her, suddenly I realized that her whole way of living, everything that she's doing is to not die. So I asked her this question: are you living not to die? Are you living to live? And that question broke her and it broke me too. It's such a fundamental question that we don't even realize that a lot of us are just living to avoid death, to escape death. We keep going. And so much of old age and old age care is prolonging life without any purpose. And I completely disagree with it. And I'm deeply saddened by what the world we are living in when it comes to that topic, because so many people are just not wanting to die and they're not actually living. They're just surviving. They're just keeping it going because they don't want to experience death. It's not like they have something to live for. They just don't want to die. And this obviously has nothing to do with the soul because the soul wants to live. Even at any stage of your life, no matter how old you are, your soul has vitality, your soul has life. The moment your soul has died, then it's just your body going, it's just your mind going. This is what we are seeing a lot in the world today. That's not living anymore. I don't call that living. That's existing as a zombie, a vegetable. Like, for me, that's not actual living. And I personally would rather just let my body and my mind go than keep it alive. For what? For what? Because I don't want to experience death? Or because I think that this is it, there is no more? I don't believe in that. I know that there'll be plenty more lives, as many as I want, and I want infinite. For me, there is no end to this journey. I am going to have many, 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 many lives forever because I love life. I am in love with life. And the moment I'm not in love with this life and it's not in alignment and my soul is ready to leave and go on to the next life, I'll go. I'm not holding on to this life. I'm here to live. I'm not here to not die. And it's a great question to ask yourself. Are you living not to die? Or are you living to live? Are you living in avoidance of death, of pain, of discomfort, of whatever it is that you're afraid to confront? Or are you actually living to live? Are you living fully to live, to experience life, to be alive? I'll just repeat this again. Your soul, on the other hand, is deeply content and always on the edge of creation. There's so much creativity overflowing that there's never a dull moment. You're not escaping death. You're living life in the truest sense. A lot of people on the personal development journey get trapped in purgatory. They haven't yet found the heaven of the soul within. So they keep running back to the known escapes of the ego, which is a living hell. The crazy thing is that it's always just one step away. The heaven of your soul is just one step away. but it is the most difficult step to take. And most people cannot do it. They cannot do it by themselves because these are sacred initiations into life itself. We need to be initiated into life. And a lot of us have forgotten about the whole idea of initiation. This was a core aspect of humanity for ages, whether it was tribes in the jungle or it was even ancient civilization. There was always initiation into higher and higher levels of life, initiation into adulthood, but it doesn't stop there because even as adults, there are levels and levels of adulthood, and we are always starting the process of initiation. And what is the start of that process? It's trauma. A lot of our initiations begin with trauma. A lot of initiations, the first step is trauma. But what happens to most of us is that we never complete the initiation. We are always stuck in the middle. We are stuck in the trauma. Instead of taking the trauma to completion, completing that initiation and going into the next stage of life. This is what a lot of people say, that your greatest powers, your greatest gifts are buried deep in your trauma. So I don't see trauma as a bad thing. Trauma is a sacred process. It's a sacred initiation into higher levels of life, higher levels of power. And this is how I guide people. I don't pity them for being traumatized. I don't see them as victims. I see the people who had the most powerful traumas are here to uncover the most powerful gifts and be initiated into very high levels of impact and leadership. This is what I have experienced for myself. I'm very grateful for my trauma and the people, the souls, not the people, but the souls who carried the responsibility to deliver those gifts to me in that way. So it is the most difficult step to take, and most people cannot do it by themselves because these are sacred initiations into life, higher and higher levels of life. Most of the people who do take that step are guided by those who have taken that step again and again. Some steps you are meant to lead, you are meant to take them yourself, you're meant to be the first one and forge a new path. Many others can only be taken with guidance. Initiations are a crucial part of life that have been forgotten by mainstream culture. We live in a world that is going more and more towards individuality and individualism, but there's a big difference between that and individuation, which is synergistic and in harmony and staying in community. And I'll be talking a bit more about this further down. Mentorship is irreplaceable. Some of the most crucial steps of my life would never have been even discovered, let alone taken, without being guided by powerful mentors who held me and saw me as capable of taking those steps. You don't always believe in yourself, and you don't have to. Having peers and mentors who see your potential when you don't is the best resource you can have in life, especially if you want to keep growing eternally and infinitely. This doesn't substitute your inner mentor, your soul. The right mentors are the greatest allies and champions of your soul, and they help you find your way to the ultimate mentor, that is your soul. At that stage, when you're finally in complete alignment with your soul, when you have finally fully embodied your soul, you shift from mentors to peers who keep you aligned. Because even at that stage, it's not about just being by yourself and doing it alone. It's not about isolation. Why would you even choose that? That's what I'll come to next. At no stage are we meant to become isolated. Individuation is a beautiful process which leads to meeting others in their wholeness. Even those who appear to be alone are always surrounded with unseen support. even if they don't acknowledge it to others. The one who denies this, even to themselves, inevitably falls to learn the power of collaboration, of community, of connection. We are not here to just be leaders on the top of the mountain and be alone. The whole idea that being at the top is lonely, it's nonsense. That is a self-created reality that's entirely based on something I'll come to now, which is based also on my own experience. I had to learn this myself because for a long time, I was trying to be that leader, the solo leader on the top of the mountain, the typical guru. And even though I hated gurus, even though I never wanted to become one, and I was studying all the gurus so that I don't fall into the same trap. And that's actually why I found this lesson. I saw all the gurus who go to the mountaintop and become isolated. And I realized that this is not something I want. But for a long time, I was too stubborn to realize that I was unconsciously creating the same reality. And thankfully, I woke up from it. So, for the longest time, I was stubborn about this, even though I was apprenticing for 8 years and later continued with other coaches and mentors. A big part of me denied this reality. I wanted to reach a place where I will never need anyone, only to be confronted with the harsh, brutal truth that that wish was rooted in a deep wound of trust. Not trusting that people will want to be with me, support me, help me, and love me. I genuinely believe that way too many humans carry this wound and move through life with a constant fear of being abandoned and rejected. This is the root of narcissism, and it has a very real solution. I found it, and I've helped others find it. When we stop demonizing the wounded and stop branding them with labels and telling them that there is no cure for this label that we have created, only then there is any real hope for us to change some of the core dynamics that play out in this world. I was branded a narcissist. I was told that there is no healing for narcissism. I was told a lot of things that were complete lies because they were told by people who had the same wounds, who had not figured out how to move past those wounds. And this is what I see in the domain of psychotherapy. Some of the loudest voices, I will not say the most powerful voices, but the loudest voices on the internet about narcissism are deeply rooted in their own narcissism. And the way narcissism works is that you create a narrative to prove to yourself that you're not a narcissist, especially when you're a therapist or a coach. You come up with a set of rules telling you, okay, if I do this, then I'm not a narcissist. In my opinion, that has nothing to do with narcissism. Narcissism is a core human wound. I truly believe most humans experience it. Most humans have some degree of narcissism. And that is the wound of being rejected and abandoned. The wound of not trusting that people love you. Because we've all experienced abandonment, we've all experienced rejection, sometimes very early in our life. And that is what leads to narcissism. It leads to losing trust that people love us and will want to love us, that we are deserving of love, that we are worthy of love. This is such a core wound for so many people. So many people. And I don't believe that narcissists don't have empathy. They don't have empathy when they're in the wound. And sometimes some people are chronically in the wound. And so if they don't, it's not that they don't have empathy, they're just protecting themselves. They still feel, they feel a lot. I know several people who have been identified as narcissists, who identify themselves as narcissists. I used to be one, but it was never that I did not have empathy. It was just that when I was in that wound, and when these other people are in their wound, they just don't, they can't feel empathy because they need to protect themselves. And that is actually something very real, which you need to do at all stages of life. There are some situations where it's not healthy to have empathy because you need to protect yourself. If you're surrounded by 100 people hating you, and wanting to destroy you, in that moment, you don't want to have empathy for them projecting on you and them having wounds that they're projecting on you. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself from taking on all of that energy. And that means that you need to close off feeling what they are feeling. And that doesn't make you a narcissist. That just means that you're protecting yourself. And this is what the people who are called narcissists are doing. They're protecting themselves in the way that they know how. That's the only way that they know how to protect themselves, is to shut down and go on the offensive. If you can see that this is a dynamic that's playing out and you stop demonizing it, and you can just see that these are wounds and that there are real solutions to it. There is an actual solution to what is called narcissism. Mainstream psychotherapy says that there is no healing for narcissism. It's untreatable, it's uncurable, it can only be managed. I completely disagree. I strongly disagree because I know that the core wound can be healed. I have healed it. I have seen others healing it, and it's completely possible. It's complete brainwashing from the mainstream that this cannot be changed. And I invite you, if you are someone who has been called a narcissist, if you feel that you're a narcissist, if you know someone and still love someone who you see as a narcissist, if you can tell them without telling them that you're a narcissist who needs to be fixed, who needs to be healed, but just invite them to a conversation that you can have a better experience of life. You can learn to trust. You can learn to feel loved. You can learn to feel worthy of being loved. You can allow people to come close to you without feeling that they're going to cheat you, that they want to take advantage of you, that they're going to abandon you. That you can actually have that experience of life. This is what I'm inviting anyone for. Anyone who wants to have that conversation with me, I invite you. I found people who loved me, who are there to support me and help me when I need, who see me and my potential with my imperfections and still choose to stay and love me. So this is very important. It's not that I became perfect. I still react from time to time. I still have my shadow showing up from time to time. I still behave inappropriately from time to time. But the people who really love me and who have the capacity for real love accept that I'm a human, because they have also individuated to the extent that they have embraced their humanity and their imperfections. And we all see each other in our wholeness, in our wholeness, which means we see the imperfections of each other and we accept it's okay. Nor are we blindly committed to each other, that this person has to stay in my life forever. There is love today, and we are in each other's lives today. In one sense, there is an eternal love. These people, I will love them forever. There has been one person in my life who is no longer in my life, and there was a painful separation, but I still love that person. My love for that person never went away because I can see their wounds, I can see their imperfections, and I still love them. That will never change. That doesn't mean I need to be with them. That doesn't mean I even want to be with them. I want to be in their presence in this life anymore. It doesn't mean that. But love can still be there at a soul level. And for the people who are still in my life, I don't expect them to stay in my life. I also don't commit to staying forever. There may come a phase where I need to move away, where for whatever reason, which I cannot foresee, there's distance, there's space, or there's even separation. There is no holding on, there is no neediness, there's no attachment. This is what is there when we are wounded. But when we come into our healed state, we can allow people to leave. And it doesn't mean that we are being rejected or abandoned, because we only see the world through that lens when we are in abandonment and rejection. We expect it to happen again when we are living that wound, that trauma again and again. But when we come out of it and we become in our healed state, so healed, I'm using the word healed, it's not healing forever. There is a state in you where you are healed and it's done. It's done. Your abandonment wounds are done. Your rejection wounds are done. And you have come into worthiness, you've come into deserving, you've come into value that's impenetrable, that's unshakable, that's eternal, that's infinite. It's never going to change. And that means that if someone does leave you, if someone does hurt you, if someone does reject you, abandon you, whatever happens, you don't give that language to it. You just see it as life. People leave, that's life. Shifts happen, fights happen, pain happens, transitions happen, space happens, distance happens. If we do not put that lens on it, it's just life unfolding. And if we see it that, okay, this is happening now, it is painful, I go through the pain, and then I move out of the pain, because that's what usually happens with pain. It's just momentary, it passes. It can even be a long moment, but it passes. Eventually, I come out on the other side and life continues, and other people come into my life because I allow other people to continue coming into my life. I stay open, I stay receiving, I stay expansive. I don't shut down because one person left me. And I've done that before. I've done that several times before. I shut down completely because it was still rooted in that wound of trust. So every time someone would leave, someone would abandon, someone would reject, it would just play out the prophecy and I would shut down completely and not allow someone to come in for a very long time until love actually overwhelmed me. And that led to the next phase, which I will talk about now. So I was only able to do this because I was able to receive love at a crucial moment. I just repeat this part again. I found people who loved me, who are there to support me and help me when I need, who see me and my potential with my imperfections and still choose to stay and love me. I was only able to do that and have that because I was able to receive it at a crucial moment. My self-love did not come first, unlike the popular spiritual and self-help cliche or trope. Yes, I did love myself to some degree already, but it was nothing compared to the love I was being shown and given. And I did everything possible in that moment to push it away and reject it, to get the other person to hate me and to leave, because I was in my wound. And still, this person saw right through the wound. They did not stop showing me love. And after a while of me reacting and rejecting, because look what's happening. When we are in our wounds, we are the ones rejecting and abandoning. It's so common that people abandon a relationship before they can be abandoned. Some people have never been broken up with because they're always the first to break up. And then when that first breakup happens, like, what the hell happened here? How did I not see this coming? How did I not act first? You don't need to. You can be broken up with. It's okay. You don't always need to be the one who abandons. When you're doing that, you're still in the abandonment wound. You're still in the rejection wound. When you are rejecting others, if it's out of alignment, if it's in alignment, right? You're not aligned with someone else. You're not rejecting them. You're just not aligned with them. But when you're actually rejecting others, it's coming from your own rejection wound because you're afraid of being rejected by them. These dynamics are so complex and so deep, and I'm not going to come too much into them because there'll be more videos where I'll talk even more about all of this. But this, at the basic level, just rejection, abandonment is so deep, and so often we are preemptively doing it to avoid experiencing it. But in doing it, we are still experiencing pain. So if you just allow yourself to feel pain, any type of pain, a lot of the times you stop feeling a lot of unnecessary pain, because a lot of pain is created in avoidance of predictive pain. It's not actual pain. We are predicting pain will come, so we end up creating pain that we think and believe is less painful. But actually, if you stop doing this, if you stop predicting pain coming and just live, and when pain comes, it comes and we feel it because you're strong enough. Yes, every single person is strong enough to feel whatever pain comes in their life. You are strong enough to feel whatever pain comes in your life. I am convinced about this, and even if you don't believe it, I believe it for you. And this is a crucial part. So that's right next. My self-love did not come first, unlike the popular spiritual and self-help trope. Yes, I did love myself to some degree already, but it was nothing compared to the love I was being shown. And I did everything possible to push it away and reject it, to get the other person to hate me and leave. And still, this person saw right through the wound. They did not stop showing me love, and after a while, helped me to break down the wall and receive the love finally. You do not always need to believe in yourself. You do not always need to love yourself. Powerful mentors, guides, peers, friends, partners are there to love you and believe in you in the moments that you cannot. This is very real. I do not agree with the self-help thing that you always have to love yourself first, that you always have to believe in yourself first. You can reach a place, that place exists, where you have unconditional self-love. But if you expect that to happen without r- doing the work to reach there, you fall into a trap and you just keep criticizing yourself and you're just stuck in shame. And that spiral is not self-love anyway. So I am so grateful and so lucky to have found and not believe. Firstly, I'm very happy I did not believe that. And I'm so happy to have found people who loved me and believed in me even when I could not, because they helped me to break down the wall and believe in myself and love myself. And I have done this for so many people, so many people that I know you don't need to do it first. That's what a lot of great coaching, great therapy, and great mentorship is about. This is why I'm such a big fan of it. Why I love my work is that so many times with my client, we discover things that they did not even know. You don't even know what you don't know. And having someone else who has experience, who has wisdom, who has insight, who has the ability to see what's going on when you cannot see it is so crucial. Why would you discard that? Why would you not want that? There's all types of mentorship available, but this type of mentorship is one of the things I offer, and I love it. And I'm so happy that I have this gift to offer, and it's so valuable. And I that's why I keep talking about it. I want as many people as possible to experience this. I have the gift to see people in ways that they cannot, to see their full potential, to see them in their fullness, to accept them in their fullness, which means accepting you as you are with your limitations at your current level. I don't need you to be more. I don't need you to be better. You get to be better. You have that opportunity. You have that potential. But today, the way you are, I have the capacity to love you as you are. This is something I learned because I was doing it with myself. So when I said that I did not have my self-love did not come first, in a way there was self-love because I did not need to fully love myself. I loved myself as I was to a great degree. But then there were times when I could not love myself and I was seeing parts of myself that I did not like. Or I was in an experience I did not like. I was going out of it, but I had enough self-love to not hate myself for being that. And that is so important. Like this is one of the self-help or self-love techniques that I teach to people is that you can even love yourself for not loving yourself. You can love yourself for not loving yourself. It's okay if you don't love yourself all the time. What you can do is surround yourself with people who will love you when you don't love yourself. And keep reminding yourself not to push those people away. In those moments that they're loving you, just receive it. Even if it's super uncomfortable, just receive it. Just allow yourself to receive it. So they did not stop showing me love, and after a while, they helped me to break down the wall and receive the love finally. My entire reality changed in that moment, forever. Because from that day, that was my final wall. So I've had many of these walls, but there was one final wall, and the moment that wall broke, I could receive love. Well, I will not put it in such absolute terms. Who knows the walls that I don't even know yet? That's the whole point, really. So that's the point I was just making. That sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. And peers, mentors, they help you to see these. The ones, even peers who have found themselves, who have wisdom, everyone has a lens that you don't have, and they are able to see things that you cannot see. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of having peers who have worked on themselves, who have individuated, who are in their wholeness, who are aligned with their soul. That's the power of having mentors who are also ahead of you in many ways, who have wisdom, who have experience, not just knowledge, but actual experience, who have gone through their own initiations into higher and higher levels of life and themselves, who can guide you and initiate you and help you complete the initiations that started in those traumas to go out into higher and higher levels of life. So my entire reality changed in that moment forever. And the beautiful part is that since then, I've been able to spread that gift to so many others and so many more that will come. I am so loud and insistent about mentorship because it has been a crucial part of my life. I was on the edge of death, heavily addicted and depressed, with no hope at all and not a shred of trust. Really, there were moments even after my spiritual awakening where I was confronted with my absolute despair and doom. I had no hope for humanity. I was completely subscribed to the end of the world, and for all the kinds of reasons, right? Like for sometimes it was climate change, world war, conspiracies, all kinds of things. But for me, all of it is the same. It's the doom machine. And I was completely subscribed to it because that's where I was internally. I felt no hope. So it just felt comfortable to subscribe to the doom machine, which just keeps reinforcing there is no hope and death will set you free. It will all collapse and you'll be free. You'll be free of this pain of being hopeless, of lacking trust, of not having people, of not being able to allow people to come close to you, to experience their love, to receive their love. It's super painful to live in that state. So it's very easy to just feel hopeless, to feel that death will free me and there's nothing after death. I will be an atheist. I will believe that this is the end. We just go to dust. There is no consciousness. It's all in the brain. And the moment I die, that's why a lot of people kill themselves because they think that death will free them, or they wait for death to come and hope that it's the end or believe it's the end. And when you free yourself of all of this, when you're not, when you find real, when you find your soul, there is natural hope. You don't need to hope. You don't need to believe in things. There is natural hope. There's natural faith. It's not a faith in anything outside of you. It's a faith in life itself, that life is eternal, that it goes on. forever, that consciousness is eternal, it goes on forever. You actually cannot stop it. And once you embrace that and you realize that you have power to change anything, to heal anything, to shift anything, then you don't need life to stop. You don't need life to end. You don't need to believe in doom and despair. You don't need to subscribe to the doom machine. You can have hope because it's safe to have hope. You can have hope because it's safe to have hope. Just listen to that. It's safe to have hope. It's so ridiculous that actually having hope is dangerous when you're so wounded and you feel so oppressed by your own traumas that you're just looking for a way out. That hopelessness feels like the easy way out. That's how much pain a lot of us are experiencing. I have experienced for a long time in my own life that hopelessness was the easy way out. Despair was the easy way out. Feeling a victim and being powerless was the easy way out. Because even if I have power, I can't fix the world. Because being alive, being human means seeing the pain in the world, having empathy, and seeing the pain in the world and not going into denial about it. You can have hope while having empathy and seeing the state of the world. A lot of the light workers, a lot of the spiritual community is just obsessed with this extremely positive outlook on life while being in complete denial of the reality. They don't want to face the reality of the world as it is, that there is an actual possibility of the doom and hell or whatever you want to call it. If we don't deny that, we can actually be in the center. So we don't need to be in absolutes and extremes that it's only positive and there is no chance of doom. But here's the thing, you can have hope in hell. It's only when you believe that it's an eternal construct, that hell will be eternal, that the state of the world will be eternal. It's only when you believe in absolute that you need the other absolute, the other extreme. So you only need an eternal heaven if you're afraid of an eternal hell. But if you realize that life is always moving, consciousness is always moving, that there is nothing that's permanent other than change itself, then you can have real hope, you can have real faith. You can have faith in the laws and the principles of the universe and life, that life is always moving, that life is always changing. That is a law. That's super obvious, right? Like, obviously, life is always changing. Change is a constant, is a law of the universe. It's a law of life. So when you can have faith in that law, that is when hope is safe. It's safe to feel hope. So I am so loud and insistent about mentorship because it has been a crucial part of my life. I was on the edge of death, heavily addicted and depressed, with no hope at all, and not a shred of trust, not a shred of real trust. And I came to the other side. With immense and intense challenges, still, I came to the other side. And I was led over and over by those who had done it before me. I didn't need to do it first. I just needed to do it. I didn't need to do it first. I just needed to do it. I didn't know how or even what to do. And without some key people, I wouldn't be here today, metaphorically and literally. I was living the most mundane life, working a 2 to 5 job, both AM and PM. Sometimes I would start at 2 p.m. and finish at 5 p.m. Sometimes I would start at 2 p.m. and finish at 5 a.m. I really had no routine and no schedule. Even back then, I couldn't really be completely mundane because that's just not who I am. But still, I was in a job. For me, that was mundane enough. It was routine enough because Well, not fully, because I still was able to use my creativity. I was a software developer, so I still got to use my creativity. But I was still within a construct that made me feel limited and confined. I don't believe jobs need to feel that way. That's who I was at that time. I truly believe that jobs can feel like the most liberating thing because that's in your consciousness. Nothing outside you can make you feel confined. If you feel confined in life, it's you. It's not your circumstances. It's your consciousness. So I was doing a 2 to 5 job and I was still feeling very constricted. And I felt that my life to some degree was still mundane. And I used to gamble. I was racing my car. I overdosed several times and pushed the limits as far as I could every single time. Several times I crossed far beyond the edge and had several death/near-death experiences. Had it not been for my spiritual awakening and a complete change in direction of eventually finding real life, death would have inevitably caught up sooner than anything I will get to experience in this life. I honestly believe that in every other lifetime, death did catch up. That's why I treasure this life so much. I love it. I enjoy it. I still push the limits every single day, just in a completely different way. And this is what I wish for many, many others. I'm here to guide and help those who I am meant to help. And for others, I deeply wish they find those who are meant to help you. There isn't one specific person. Often it is multiple mentors and friends and people in your life. And I even encourage that. I've always had multiple mentors, even if it did not look like that. Apart from my soul, which is for each of us, your soul is your ultimate mentor. So apart from my soul, which was guiding and mentoring me forever, even without me realizing it, the other ally and mentor I've had for lifetimes is ayahuasca, the sacred plant. No, the spirit of ayahuasca, which manifests through sacred plants, which are found in the Amazon rainforest. I found ayahuasca in this life at age 24, and since then, I've always felt its presence supporting me, guiding me, and even working through me as I help others. You have mentors guiding you right now, even if you don't realize it. Often, all you need to do is open up and start listening. Trust. Trust the guidance you receive, follow it, and watch the magic unfold. These mentors will also guide you to the people who are here to mentor you, support you, help you, and love you. Be open to receive and be ready to receive. So that's the end of the article. And I feel it's also the end of the transmission. I added a lot came through that was extremely powerful, extremely important. I'm so happy I listened to my intuition and just did this as the first one. I just did it immediately while still in the energy of the original transmission that I received. So I'll be publishing that blog post and this video simultaneously. So after watching this video, you can go check out the blog post, or if you read the blog post first, you can go check out the video. Well, you will be watching this. So yeah. And what I would ask you is that if this has touched you, please share it. Please share with anyone who you feel this can help, this can impact. As I said, I'm inviting people to have a conversation about trust, about narcissism, about healing these core wounds of abandonment and rejection, about hope, about faith. I don't talk a lot about hope and faith. I want you to experience it. And the only way you can experience it is directly from your soul. You don't need to learn hope. You don't need to learn faith. It's a natural quality you have that's in your soul. The same as confidence. I do not believe in fake it till you make it. Because why would you do that when you actually have it. You have confidence as a natural quality in your soul. You need to experience it. And when it comes naturally from your soul, you realize how different it is from anything that you can generate through brainwashing yourself. And it looks very different. It's actual authentic confidence. It's not a mask, it's not a whole show that you're putting on. It's just deep, natural confidence that's rooted in being you. You're confident in just being you. All of the imposter syndrome goes away. Imposter syndrome exists because you're not actually being you, because you're not seeing you. You're not seeing how magical you are, how powerful you are, how loving you are, how beautiful you are. When you start seeing all of that for real, you don't need to fake confidence. You see your gifts, you see your skills, you see your expertise, you see all your success. You learn to celebrate it. This is one of the most powerful things I learned in the last year that I've been teaching, is teaching people to celebrate themselves, to be proud of themselves. It's ridiculous how we are not taught this, a lot of us, that we are taught to be modest, to reduce ourselves, to not speak about ourselves because it sounds arrogant. I'm completely changing that paradigm along with many others. We are here to celebrate ourselves. We are here to celebrate life because you are awesome. Why wouldn't you celebrate yourself? Well, look at how awesome you are. Learn to look at how awesome you are. I've created a celebration challenge within my membership. It's 30-day challenge and it's super powerful. I've taken several people through it now, and it is actually challenging. When for 30 days I have prompts and you are looking at yourself in 30 different ways to celebrate yourself. And you'll be surprised how challenging it is. So I invite you to come into this challenge. I invite you to start celebrating yourself even without this challenge, to look at yourself as a powerful, beautiful, loveful, and magical being. Thank you for watching and thank you so much for sharing this. I will see you next time.